Yeah, I was just curious if that was something that you deal with, or as far as logins, the number of logins students are required to use. Do they tend to use those logins or those online spaces after the course? What's your experience there?
That's one reason I tend to do the Google thing. You know, I have their, they have to have a Gmail address. So they're already set for Google Docs. They're already set for Blogger. There's several sites like Quizlet that let you log in with your Google account. So that minimizes some of the registration needs. But yeah, I'm always thinking about not only minimizing registrations and learning curves of new technology, but what are they already using that they've like already got on their phone that they're going to, it's just going to become part of their daily flow, as opposed to, oh, I have to go do something for class. I should check that. Um,
Right. And this kind of, our discussions here kind of make me think of a comment that you made during the last session about the program band. And I'm kind of looking for a good tool, and I'm not sure if this would be one of those where I could run kind of a back channel, but in class where I could kind of change the dynamic and have them kind of provide input on an individual basis, but have it projected in, because we have big screens in our classes, so I could utilize that. But thinking in terms of logins, because obviously we could do Twitter, but a lot of my students aren't on Twitter, so I don't know if I want to go down that route. If there was something that they didn't even have to create an account, it could be anonymous. That would be another, I think, advantage. I don't know. Do you have any ideas about or suggestions about a specific tool that would handle that type of back channel
well,
discourse
it's
class?
different answering that question in Korea than for the rest of the world, because Korea has some technologies that it's just there is sort of a Korean internet, and it used to be really pretty exclusively used by Koreans, and Koreans are starting to branch out and use Facebook and other things. But uh, Band is actually created by a Korean company, Naver. And almost everybody has a Naver ID. That's the most popular. It's the Google of Korea. They go to Naver search. And so it's not everybody, I'd say 90% already have a Naver address. And so it's very easy for them to log in. You can register with an email address. It's not a big deal. But if they've already got Naver, it's one step easier. And Band is actually the second most popular group texting platform. Kakao is another one that could work quite well also. The more global brands like WhatsApp, I wonder if that would have the same functionality. I don't know about its group chat possibilities, but very few people use it here. So like people use Kakao and they use Band, so I'm going to use one of those for group chatting. Outside of Korea, I would probably look at other stuff more.
Well, that's interesting. In Mexico, WhatsApp is the thing. Everybody has WhatsApp. But with WhatsApp, you basically you have to have the phone number of the person. So it's different than, say, maybe a Facebook Messenger service where you have just a login associated with that. You're actually giving the other person your phone number, and so then you have to ask, well, do you want to give your phone number out to all of your students? And so that's another thing. With Band and Kakao, are there options there where you could stream the the chat and it could be anonymous for the student, or is there always their login name or avatar associated with the person?
Well, speaking of students, hello, Bora.
Hi.
Hello?
This
Hello,
is one of
Boda?
my superstar students. This is Ben in Mexico.
Oh,
Hello?
hello.
And we're talking about like group chats. What are the best options for students using group chats? And we're talking about like the hassle of creating a new registration and using something, but also protecting privacy. Yeah, I'm sorry, Ben. Your most recent question was, can you show it in a way that doesn't show students' names?
Right. Thinking in terms of band cacao that you have more experience with, is there a way to stream chats where it could be anonymous so that they could, you wouldn't necessarily know who is saying what?
I don't think so. Bora, can you think of a way of using a Kakao chat or a band where we wouldn't know who was texting?
Uh, Twitter. Twitter
Like
is, yeah.
if we had some kind of group chat, like in a band or Kakao, is there any way we could do it so that we wouldn't see people's names?
Yeah. Sometimes.
How can you do that so that, like, if I wanted to show, like, if I tried to show um, our band, so I'm showing my bands, and here's Bora's class. If I show this, we can see people's names. I don't think Katrina would mind. Uh, uh, can you think of a way that we could show it but not show people's names?
My name not show to people.
Right.
We can hide my name.
Really? Is it possible?
No, we can hide that name that we don't know. So we can block the name.
We can block someone, but we can't make ourselves anonymous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a deal breaker necessarily, but is there a way to embed band or cacao in a website, for example, where you could show that kind of separate in a separate space?
You can't embed it. You know, I just showed it's web friendly, so you can show it, you can participate in it, but I mean, you could iframe it, but
yeah,
it doesn't have any other kind of bed. Maja, hello. We see you here, but not see you.
Hello, Maja.
There you are.
Hi.
We see.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know if we hear you, Maja.
I hear Maja. Oh, no, I don't. I thought I did. No.
No, I don't think we are hearing you, Maja. Nothing yet. While you're figuring it out, Maja, Boda, are you familiar with WhatsApp?
WhatsApp?
Mm-hmm.
What's the web?
It's an alternative. And Boda, your audio is kind of low. Can you maybe hold your mic, or are we getting audio from? No mic.
Yeah.
Okay, then you have to lean forward, I guess. Yeah, WhatsApp is like an alternative to Kakao Talk or Band. Have you heard of that?
No.
No, okay. Because, like, you know, Band and Kakao are so popular here in Korea, but not so popular in the rest of the world. So Ben was saying his students use WhatsApp.
It is similar with Kakao Talk?
Yes. How is the group chat functionality, Ben?
I'm not an expert on WhatsApp. I don't use it myself all that much, but it's very much like if you're familiar with Facebook Messenger, it's very similar in functionality to that, to Facebook Messenger. In fact, Facebook bought out WhatsApp, so that's probably why you know, competition and all of that. But it's very much like you know, Facebook Messenger. If you're familiar with that, it's a messenger service, so you can, you know, but you connect. The difference between Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp is that you link with other people via the phone number. So that's what we were talking about earlier. Is if teachers are wanting to set up or use WhatsApp with their students, they have to be willing to give up their phone number. because that's how you connect. In contrast with Facebook Messenger, you just connect via Facebook as you normally would if you befriend someone in Facebook. There's no phone number associated with it, but with WhatsApp, it's with your phone number. But it's very much just a typical messenger service that you can.
But it doesn't have a web component, does it? Like you can't really use it on the web.
I
I was
don't.
just looking at the site. It doesn't seem to
No, I
have.
don't think so. And I'm not sure Facebook. Well, I guess you could. I guess you could arrange it using Facebook Messenger. I guess you could figure that out with.
Maha, I think we might be getting audio from you.
Oh, you do? Can you hear me now?
Yes, coming in kind of low and a little.
Okay, now?
Oh yes, there you go.
Okay. Well, okay.
Welcome.
That means
Long
that
time no hang out.
Yes, nice to see you all again. That means that my off button is not really off. I mean, you can hear me even when the
We're like the NSA, always listening.
Yeah.
You know Ben from previous Hangouts. This is Boda, one of my students.
Well,
Hi.
Oh, hi, Bora. Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What do people in Egypt use primarily for messaging and group messaging, Maha?
I don't know about group no, actually I do. WhatsApp, mainly. I mean, everybody is on their phone, and if they're at home and they have access to a Wi-Fi, of course they. I mean, I learned about WhatsApp because of my niece and one of my neighbors who put all the lady neighbors, all the ladies in the building in a group, so we can discuss things to do with organizing things in the building and maintenance and stuff like that. So yes, and of course my niece is always on WhatsApp, either with individual friends or in a group chat. But mostly text. I don't know if that works in voice as well.
I think it does. I think you can actually make phone calls via WhatsApp. And I know you can do audio recordings, so you can give voice messages instead of text messages. So I see a lot of room for using this in the language learning classroom. But I'm wondering if there's a way, Maha, if you know of a way to somehow in class project any type of those conversations that's going on in live in real time. Is there a way to project that some way on a screen or in a web-based context so that all the other students can kind of see in real time the discussions?
From WhatsApp?
Yeah.
No, never even occurred to me to try. That would be an interesting one. Because if they are already there, and that's what they like to use, maybe, yeah, that would be a good idea. No, I mean, I've seen that, of course, done with Twitter, but I've never thought about WhatsApp.
Anything you want to share, Maha, from the last 8 months or however long it's been?
Yeah, well, actually, I have a couple of things on my mind that I wanted to talk about, or at least get help also, or suggestions about. I try to do some tutoring for underprivileged kids who cannot afford. Like public schools are horrible here, unfortunately, or it's become worse the last few years. So they don't get much at school, and almost everybody, depend on going to tutors outside of the school. And those who cannot afford to pay the tutoring or private tutoring try to find another way. So some of the NGOs are offering classes. And I tried to do some tutoring through those NGOs. And then I discovered that whatever I want to do for those students, using technology is going to be really hard. Either they don't have the technology, they don't have internet at home, they don't have even a DVD player, they have nothing. So I started thinking about what else can I do that doesn't really have to do with technology much. And maybe not necessarily school-related tutoring, but just to improve their English in general during holidays or whatever. This is one thing. I mean, it's very vague, I'm sorry, but it's and maybe, I don't know if you feel that it's relevant to the discussion or not, but it's just something on my mind. The other thing is, I've been asked to do some tutoring for children, and I've never taught children before, not really young children. I mean, I'm a trainer by profession originally, not a teacher, but I like teaching in general, and especially, I mean, I don't see a lot of difference in some cases, at least with adults, but I think with children, when it comes to children, it'll be a bit different. And they asked me to do it online, which is great, because that's what I've been actually looking forward to starting, to do tutoring and helping people learn in general online.
So you will not be meeting them face to face. You're going to be
no,
connecting.
not at all, because they actually live somewhere else. They're not even here.
Will it be synchronous? Will it be real-time connection, or just you posting something and them engaging with that material?
I think what they expect is synchronous, and that's why I'm asking for advice and for suggestions, especially for children. I don't know if children would be fine with asynchronous, or at least all asynchronous.
How old are they?
3rd grade.
How many?
So far, it's only one that I'm starting with, which is another thing that is on my mind. Do children do well when they're tutored separately? Because I think it's more fun and more engaging when they were there with others. I don't know.
I mean, I wonder about the online thing. I started out as an elementary school teacher, but way before we had online possibilities. And I almost think smaller numbers would be easier for online, because if there's 10 kids in a hangout, they're going to be down. You know, if there's 1 or 2, you can kind of stay focused in. If there's 10, I think attention span might be a challenge.
Yeah. Are the kids going to be together? If, let's say, you have more than one, are they going to be in the same room, for example? Or will they, each student be, if you're meeting synchronously, in their own home or space?
To be honest, I'm not sure yet, because the mother was talking about only her child, but when I mentioned that it is useful to have more than one kid in you know, like one person, one child in the session, so that they can do exercise together, practice together, and so on. And it's not only the teacher and him. And she said, okay, we can perhaps organize that later, but it sounded like it'll be each child at their home, from their home. So they'll be alone.
And are you teaching English or just general content?
English. Well, they're asking for math as well. I don't like math, but anyways.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, because if I'm just thinking, because I haven't had experience teaching kids, and especially online. But I'm just curious about whether or not you can teach, like, if it would be better to try to teach a math class or some sort of either project-based or task-based type of learning, or something that's very practical to them, hands-on, that they can that they can do. You know, some of these principles that would apply to a face-to-face, I think here apply online. That something that I'm just thinking, like, for example, if they have Legos, for example, right? So that you give them instructions to do things with Legos that maybe they physically have with them. Any type of objects, things that they can, put their hands on, I think might be, might be a good thing to consider. So that even though it's online, they can, show you things or draw pictures and show you, or, you can kind of converse that way, but through some sort of a practical, very hands-on type of activity.
Mhm.
That's something that just comes to mind, but I haven't.
And I'm trying to think of a platform that would allow for that. Like, Google Hangouts are so great for group chats, but they're really, like, you can't draw, with like an Illuminate, or I don't know, it was IQ. There are things that they can do. The tool we were looking at during our last brainstorm, Kahoot, there's a game show kind of thing to it. I mean, I think with the online stuff, it would be good to have them engaged somehow, doing something.
Jeff, have you worked with some of the applications? And I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm looking at one that's called Draw here in Google. Is there any room there, any opportunities for that to work in this type of context?
Only one way to find out.
I've never used it myself. I'm just now looking at it, but the user's not running Draw invites. I don't know if I have to invite others to.
Was that part of the toolbox, or? Oh no, there's just Draw. Okay.
Yeah, I went under there's the More option, and you can have, you can bring in YouTube, you can bring in Google Docs and Draw, Google Effects, and so on. But I don't see how to activate the.
Oh,
there we go.
I can draw on you. I tried to draw on Bora, and that didn't work. But somehow your platform is supported. Now, are you seeing what I'm drawing?
Everybody has to add the app, I think.
Ah.
There. I'm just drawing on Jeff now. I just drew on his face.
Yeah.
Now, can you see anything that I draw?
Yeah.
Oh.
In red, yes.
Red, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I just drew a beard, and it's following you around.
I see it. I need to shave.
More.
That's interesting.
And I think it's changed from how it used to work before, because I tried the notes or something like that and the draw when I was actually teaching or tutoring somebody in Arabic, someone who wanted to learn Arabic, but it was very slow, and it took a lot of time to load or to show anything that I was doing, and finally I had to abandon it. Not really abandon it, but I couldn't use it from within the Hangout. I had to keep going out. Oh, look at that.
So this is the kind of thing that I think would be somewhat useful.
So if I put these stamps so everybody can see what I'm putting on Jeff's picture there, is that?
Hello from Benjamin?
Yes.
Okay. Huh. Okay.
So Bora, do you know what we're clicking to activate this? On the left side menu of the Hangout,
Yeah.
you see the pencil icon, Draw.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll share with you, Maja, is a list of links for English learning for young learners that I have on one of my call websites. I'll toss it into the chat here. So I'm curious, let's see. So you erased all my stuff. Benjamin, do you have the option of erasing your beard if you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just click on your own avatar there and delete it. Your own picture. Okay, that's cool. Now there's also a way, right, to incorporate Google Docs into the Hangout.
Yes.
For some reason I don't see that option, but I'm sure I'm just missing it. There used to be an option. You just Google, like an app. There we go. No, that's effects. I don't see. Does anybody see the Google Docs option?
I'm clicking at more.
I don't see it.
How can that be?
It has to be here. Because you could use that as a type of whiteboard.
Right.
Boy, I don't see it. Weird. You can bring in YouTube. That might be also a good option.
Speaking of connecting, Maja, Ben and I were talking about ways that our students, or students in general, especially university students, might be able to connect, and especially in not just, I mean, we can always use Hangouts, but also like a space or a platform or a tool for them to be having discussions together in text or composition or whatever. And we didn't really decide anything, did we, Ben?
Not really. No.
There's one that I really like. I mean, I haven't used it extensively. I mean, personally, but I participated by just adding a question and a comment there once or twice in a MOOC. The Vlog, but I don't know yet how to upload or how to get the video inside.
What was that called?
Dialogues.
Dialogue.
So video dialogues, in a way.
Ah.
So you have the video there, and then you can, at any moment or any second, you put a comment or a question that everybody is in that discussion will see, and then they can comment. So you can see which the time. So you can refer to it and go back to see what is this person asking about or commenting about.
Do you have a link?
I just tossed one into the chat room, our Hangout chat.
Okay.
And if I can ask sort of a self-indulgent question here, because I am teaching advanced composition this coming semester, and Bora is the kind of student who might take my class. You are an English major. Have you taken 4 semesters of composition already?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And for each one, you've used a textbook, right?
The textbook?
Did you have a textbook in each class?
Yeah. The Q, the name is the Q.
Okay, but you did have a textbook.
Yeah, but the textbook is in my hometown.
Okay, you don't have to have it now. I'm just wondering, I have a few questions for you. First, what do you want in terms of your composition, where you're at? You want to improve your writing. What kinds of things do you want to do? What kind of skills or topics are you interested in for advanced composition? And please remember to lean forward so we can hear you.
I think diary is better because the class that I took 2 years ago is just for reading rather than.
Bora, I'm sorry. Can you lean forward a little bit? It's hard to hear. Thank you.
the class that I took 2 years ago is just for reading, not for writing, I guess, because writing is just the professor said just the structure, how to write properly and how to write, is to read like that. But usually during the class we did read.
Because my thinking is, I mean, I see the value in including reading, but I wouldn't want class time to be spent reading. And if you've already had 4 semesters of composition instruction, you've studied grammar since middle school or before, I want you guys to do a lot of writing. I want you guys to have blogs and write. And like what Ben and I are discussing, I would love for you to have a place where you can write and connect with other students so that there's some topic and you're writing not because it's an assignment for class, but because you want to express your opinion and share and discuss with people from other places. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? Honestly?
Like audiovisual class?
Yes, kind of like that, but a little bit more writing based than hanging out.
Wow, sounds amazing.
And so what we're kind of talking about is how to do that, where to do that. Jisun in our class showed a site called Shared Talk, which is a great place where people from all over the world come and talk to each other in texting and audio. It's not really a forum. Do you know of any site or app that people use to write to people from other places? Facebook, yeah, Facebook is always a possibility. It's funny, for some, like I'm fine using Google stuff and Kakao or Band or WhatsApp. Somehow using Facebook in class for me always feels weird.
What about, Jeff, and I'm just thinking out loud here, and this is kind of nothing overly innovative here, but let's just say a wiki where there's a comment function and the ability to leave comments within the written text. Is that something that might work as far as looking at asynchronous communication between students, producing something and commenting on each other's work, and then, I don't know, periodically having a hangout to discuss the writing? I don't know.
I've never bonded with wikis. Like I see the value for collaboration and everything. I've never found the navigation especially friendly, especially for discussions. But it could just be my bias. But as you were speaking, one thought I had is sort of just a group blog. And I'm going to have them produce their own blogs anyway, so you can always sort of aggregate all the personal blogs and have action on a group blog via commenting or...
Yeah, and maybe I'm going to go... Let me explain a little bit about my composition class, and I'd be interested in hearing kind of the objectives and learning a little bit more about what the desired results are for the course that you're planning on teaching next semester. I'm teaching a composition course, and in that course it's divided up into 4 units, and the students will be completing 2 essays, one an argumentative essay and a comparative essay, and they'll also be asked to, there's also a creative writing component to the course, so they're going to be asked to complete some poems in 1 unit, and there's another unit that's dedicated to business type of writing. So that's kind of, and we're going to be using Word Online for them to create their documents. It's going to be public. Anyone can access it. It's going to be shared with me, so I'll be leaving comments and leaving my feedback. All of it will be open. And they also
open to classmates or open to the public?
both. I mean, it's open to everyone. Now, not everyone will be able to go in and edit the documents, obviously, but they will all be viewable to the public. So, and finally, the students will be asked to create or have their own blog or create their own blog. So essentially, we work in Microsoft Word Online. I give feedback, they make changes, and we work, throughout the unit to create their final product, which they then, when they feel they're ready, they then upload that to their personal blogs. So, because everything that we're doing is open and transparent, including the course, the course itself, the syllabus, everything that we're doing throughout the semester is very much shared online as well. There's opportunities, I think, for perhaps if there's other students that want to start making comments on what we're doing, it can be in a blog scenario.
I had a bunch of questions and comments. The last thought that occurred was, if every class sort of has their space, part of it is just making that space interactable, so that students from my classes and whomever else's classes can kind of easily interact and just have some sort of hub where we know that they can go, and maybe even coordinating certain tasks. So this week, kind of having an overlapping task and possibly aggregating stuff.
Right. So if I know what your objectives are too, and we know what each of and I'm just talking whomever, any teacher who wants to participate, if we know what the objectives of the other group are, we can kind of coordinate what you're talking about, kind of making this happen as far as asking them to comment on other people's work or a comment in a certain way or look for certain things, etc. If we know kind of what the objectives are of the other groups that are involved.
Is everything they're going to do public? Like, is their first draft public or?
Yeah, it's all public.
Wow. Was that your choice or their choice or?
Well, I've been doing this for about 3 or 4 years, and I guess as far as a choice, I don't see choice in the sense that, do you want to do this or not? I encourage them a lot about not being afraid of making mistakes, that writing is a process, etc. Certainly, if a student did not want to do it, I would not force the student to share their work online. But I always go into it from a slightly different angle, from an encouragement standpoint, and knock on wood, so far, unless they see this video and say, oh, I did have an option, I haven't had any problems per se. Of course, some students are more comfortable than others, and but the idea is that I also tell them that all of my feedback that I give is open. I am under just a potential scrutiny from others as well, as far as how I give feedback. So I try to kind of encourage them, and so far it hasn't been a problem.
I just want to mention we actually have people watching and commenting. A couple people have commented on stuff that you're doing, Maja. And if anyone is watching and wants to join in, please, I'll put the Hangout link in the Google Plus event page again, and at eltlive.com/live. All are welcome to hang out. They have to share it. Do they have to use their name, or can they be anonymous?
The names, let's say, it can be anonymous because it's a Word Online document, so they can choose what names they put. If they just want to put their first name, or if they want to just put or leave it anonymous, that's fine. But I think usually we just put the first names So it's a little bit easier for others to find, because the whole point is for for each student to be able to see their classmates' work, right? So it's a
Do
little
they
easier if we
do they
use
comment on each other's work?
Well, we haven't quite got to that stage, and that's why I'm hoping that if I can, um, work something out with other educators and other groups, it might be a little bit. There might be a motivation there to do that. I haven't done it so far because there's just from the design of the course, and I'm asking them to share quite a bit right now. So I don't know how comfortable they're going to feel commenting on each other's work. Having said that, we do have a lot of self and peer feedback in the class itself. So I would say most of the feedback that they give is more in class live than just leaving comments uh, online.
Maha, I think we're getting some echo from you. But you're using a headset, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Where's that? Yeah,
I'll switch it off. Okay.
I don't know if it was coming from you. I'm curious, Ben, why did you decide to go with Word instead of Google Docs?
Well, I tried it last semester for the first time as an experiment because I'd been using Google Docs for years. And I did a lot of surveys at the end of the semester, just curious to know how other students felt. For me personally, as their instructor, I felt that I liked it a little bit more than Google Docs, just because it was a little bit more familiar, and because it had the option of automatically opening up on my computer and working in Word itself. I just had a little bit more functionality. But after having surveyed the students, I found that all the students that I surveyed preferred Microsoft Word Online than Google Docs, because I'd had the same students in prior classes working very similarly in Google Docs. So it was a good comparison group because I had both the same students in both scenarios. And they all chose Microsoft Word. And I think one of the reasons, not only the familiarity with the toolbar and working, a lot of the things that we do with academic writing have to do with formatting and APA and margins and indentations and spacing, and it just was a little bit easier, I think, and familiar for them to work in Word. And I think we've talked about this before. I think one of the questions I get is if this costs, or if the students have to pay for this, and they don't. I happen to have a 360 subscription with Microsoft, but it doesn't, as long as they have a license version of Word, which all the students happen to have at the university here, then it's not a problem for them to either edit their work and work completely online, or have the option to download it onto the computer and work on the document on their computer.
All of your students have a properly licensed Word?
Yeah.
Is that from the university or their own purchases?
I don't know if the we're in a transition here. We have licensed versions that are coming now, that are just now becoming available. But I think most of the students, like if they get a laptop, for example, it comes, they have it. I don't know. I honestly, I don't know if it.
Because I think people here they might have Word. I don't know if it's properly licensed or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't ask a lot of questions. All I do is I do ask, do you have Word? And they say yes, and so that's about as far as we go.
Is it mobile friendly?
Google friendly? Is Microsoft
mobile friendly?
Oh, mobile friendly. Yes. Most of my students, in fact, use cell phones, but I don't know. So they can edit. Yeah. So I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. They have most of my students in class use cell phones, and they can edit their document using their cell phones just fine. So that's not a problem. I don't know what they do outside of class. I don't know if they revert back to maybe a computer at home that they continue working. That would be a good topic of investigation here, doing a study and seeing exactly where they work most. But it has
Bora,
been a problem
I
because
wonder if we can ask our token student here. A, do you have? I don't know how bored you are with all this teacher talk. Do you have any thoughts about anything we've talked about so far? And when you do your writing, where do you prefer to do your writing? Do you do it at home in front of a laptop? Do you do it on your phone?
Actually, on laptop is better for me. But the problem is printing because I live by myself outside, so that's why I don't have printer. So always whenever I need to print something, then I need to go up to my university. That's the problem, but otherwise it's better.
And what program do you use for writing? Do you use Word?
Hangul.
Hangul. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
another Korean-only tool. There's a HWP or Hangul word processing is the
Yeah,
word
but I have
processor of
used
Korea.
as well. Word.
But
Microsoft.
you don't usually use it.
No.
Any other thoughts on anything we're talking about? About students working together? Oh, here Ben just shared a link to his composition class. Oh, Ben, you're so organized. I can just copy this. I'm also
I have an idea for your next semester class because
great.
one is, I guess most of students think it is really hassle, but I guess it is good idea because it is making newspaper. It's per group. You make a group, so you make each group. So each group need to make their own newspaper for any topics. So they need to write on the articles by themselves.
I like that idea. I like that a lot of producing content that where there's an audience, and that it yeah. How would you would you envision actually printing this out, or how would we distribute the newspaper? Publish it online? Okay, yeah, we could just make it like a PDF and print a few copies, and if people want to print more, oh, I like that idea.
that's a great idea.
It takes a long time, right?
And I won't tell other classmates that it came from you, Bora.
Oh, thank you.
Hello, Nivis. Welcome. And please tell me how to say your name properly.
So Jeff, your composition class is similar as far as is it essay writing?
You know, the guidelines here are pretty flexible. And there are a few different instructors teaching the course, so we sort of need to be on the same page somewhat. But I'm always sort of, off on a different page somewhere. So it's kind of my interpretation of advanced composition. So I should have some flexibility to sync up our curriculum. I don't. Nivis, does anyone? Yeah, Nivis, if you can say hello, please do. It looks like you're muted. If you can unmute.
Hello.
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 Hi.
First, how do we say your name?
Nevis was correct.
It's okay. Welcome. Any? Would you like to introduce yourself or share any thoughts on what we've talked about so far?
Okay, I seem to be okay. Am I back? Am I unmuted? Okay, unmuted now.
You are not muted. We hear you. I just want to. Are you hearing just one of us? You're not still listening to the stream, are you?
There we go. That was the problem. Yes.
That makes life very confusing.
I didn't realise I had both of the stream going on. That's why it was confusing for a minute there. I apologise. And yet I'm normally technologically advanced, but it must be too hot here in Italy at the moment. Can you hear me all now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes, we can.
Great. So I'm an Australian coming from, well, teaching English as a foreign language in Italy, and I just tuned in because I saw the invite some time ago and had planned to come and join earlier on, and then was having difficulty with internet. Finally came in. I was listening to Maja before when she was saying about teaching young children online. I've been teaching online via WizIQ.
Okay.
Sorry, were you talking, Maja? I missed it. Anyway, so I've been teaching young teenagers and young children, and this year I also had a preschool group, but not online. That was face-to-face. However, there seems to be some microphone interference. So anyway, I had a lot of success with teaching young children around the 8 to 9 to 12-year-olds online using a whiteboard and giving them tools to be able to draw on the whiteboard. So we would read a story or listen to a story from the Learn English Kids website, and then I would ask them to draw what they thought they heard in the listening, and then we would go and watch the video if there was a video to watch, and it worked out really well. And kids nowadays, I find, are very intuitive with technology. They don't really take long. I find that adults take longer to learn how to use a virtual whiteboard. The 11-year-olds were so fast that I didn't have a chance to even finish my phrases. And I do find that they do work better in twos. I know some mothers, as you mentioned, the mother before me was mentioning just one. I've been in Italy teaching English now for nearly 20 years, and a lot of the mothers do come to me and think that their child is special and it's best to teach them alone and by themselves or whatever. I even had a mother that was pregnant and came and said, can you please talk to my unborn child at 6 months and so he can learn English before he's born? And that was really weird. So I had to obviously refuse on that one. I know you're laughing back there, but these things do happen. Anyway, so I do insist on at least having 2. 3 works well as well. 4 is also a great number. I don't go over 4 if I'm doing online because then it gets hard to manage them. They all want to draw at the same time and they all want to draw over each other, so it does become rather hectic. But kids love it, and I think 2 is definitely as a goer. 1 is harder on you because you have to make sure, because children have a very short span of being engaged. So you're constantly, as a teacher, forcing out new ideas, and the hour of teaching, if it's 1 hour, does end up being exhausting, even for the child. Whereas if you have 2, you can create games. There are lots of games to play. There are interactive games. I get Kahoot. I create games like quizzes for them, and so they love playing online. There's so much, and I try and steer away from textbooks. I'm anti-textbook at the moment because I believe that if we teach online, we shouldn't force our online students to go out and buy a book. I think we can use what there is online and we can create our own material, turn it into a PDF or turn it into a HTML5 interactive text, anything. So that's my opinion for today. Sorry for taking up so long. I chat away.
No, thank you very much. That's very useful and very encouraging. And now at least I have an idea what to do. Unfortunately, for the textbook part, at least part of the sessions or the main sessions would have to depend on textbooks, because that's what the mother expects. I mean, she wants the child to be to prepare for next year. So
Okay.
to be ready for the next year at school.
So you would be following the so-called summer textbook, is that correct?
Yes, more or less.
Uh-huh.
I threw in there the idea of helping the child develop their English language in general, so that we can do things so that they can speak or read and write and so on. She liked the idea, but she still insists that we should go at least once a week with what's there in the textbook. So I'll see how it goes. But thank you very much for your suggestion.
Pleasure. Good luck.
Thank you.
The internet is amazing. Maja just kind of puts out there, oh, I'm teaching on kids online. Any ideas? And news comes.
Yes.
So we're just kind of sharing what we're working on during vacation. If we're on vacation and planning for the coming semester, anything you'd like to share with us?
Coming semester. Start again. The question. Sorry. Repeat.
We're just sort of brainstorming here, sharing sharing projects that are coming up either next semester or in the future, or what we're kind of what's on our plate right now as we're preparing for stuff.
Okay, well, you were talking before about something like Microsoft Word documents. I also use a lot Google Documents with my students, and I totally agree with the blogs, writing blogs, or as was it Annie was saying something before about setting up a newspaper to commute to, write their experiences. I really think reflecting is really, really important. So rather than and writing, I think it was Benjamin before was saying that was it you, Jeff, that was saying to actually get the students to actually do a lot of writing rather than reading the textbook in class, and that to me is really important too. I think students don't get enough practice these days. I come from a background in Australia where I'm now over 50, just let's put it at that. So when I was younger, we didn't have that much. And so there was a lot of pressure on actually writing ourselves and doing a lot of things ourselves, and getting the research done outside of the classroom, coming into the classroom and putting it into action. So I think that we need to get our students a lot more involved in participating actively within the class, rather than just the teacher doing all the talking or doing all the work and the students just absorbing and then going home and studying. That's my opinion. And other than that, I'm exhausted. We've got a heap going on here in Italy, and it's been a hard week.
Beautiful country, though.
Yes.
I missed the pesto. We were traveling there last winter. There was pesto running through my veins. I'd go to the Carrefour and get fresh pesto every day.
Can't you make it yourself with a pesto recipe? It's very easy.
Fresh basil is not that easy to come by. I'm sure it's out there. We live in a high-rise apartment, so there's not a lot of garden space. And it's just a lot easier to go to the supermarket to buy it. So we're coming up to the top of the hour. We should probably think about wrapping up. Any stray thoughts? Any thoughts for
a question?
Discussion? Yes.
I was wondering, in general, what would you like this group to continue doing or start doing that we're not doing?
I would say to continue doing this, and also for this group to be any group that wants to share it. I'd love for ELT Live or whatever space to just be a place that fosters these kinds of connections and kind of impromptu. Oh, I like the virtual faculty lounge metaphor, where there's not particularly an agenda. It's not an interview. It's just educators who connect and share ideas and resources. I would love to make the ELT Live site more friendly, so everyone can just post, or whether it's the site or the Google community or wherever, people can say, oh, I'm thinking about talking about this, this, and this. If anyone's interested, it'll be at 1400 UTC, and just kind of facilitate these kinds of conversations and sharing them.
How often do we have, or are you planning on having these meetings, or do we need to have a schedule?
I don't know. Last fall we were doing it almost weekly,
Okay.
and kind of moving times around, because there's always like, oh, I can't make it then, I have class then, so I kind of kept changing the time just to try to include more people. And then last semester started, and I just never quite got it going again, which is why I'd love for it to be, whoever wants to start a Hangout, just start a Hangout, record it, or make it on air so it's automatically recorded, and toss it up.
Actually, this is another thing that I just remembered, that I need to learn how to do that. I haven't tried it yet. Last time I needed to do it, Ben was very generous, and he handled the whole thing, and he hosted it for us. But I still don't know how to do it, so I'll play with it.
I think I just
know how you want to just practice, or feel free to invite me, or that's fine. You just want to hang out, learn the tools. And I like the idea, Jeff, of just kind of spontaneously creating these Hangouts. I'm going to be sharing a lot of what I'm going to be doing online in the group, and so yeah, let's just continue talking, and hopefully we can schedule a few sessions again, like we talked about with getting our students involved. I think the idea of creating a newspaper, as Boris said, or just creating something collaboratively would be a really good experience. So I'm definitely going to be thinking about that, and so yeah, thanks for the chat, everyone. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been great. All right, well, thank you so much. Have a good day or evening or whatever you're about to have.
Have a good night. Some of you.
Look forward to connecting again soon.
Yeah, and thank you very much for all the ideas. Thanks a lot. See you.
Bye.